Hello, this is Dr. Paz and welcome back. So we are going to look at Doggy from a high-priced white glove co-op or Roughing It Downtown. So this is chapter 3, our scientific method and basic concepts. So the goal of this chapter is to promote your skills for using your experience to develop rules that will reduce uncertainty in your everyday life and also in your scientific research. So for example, can changing residential patterns of pets offer clues about a city's social class and demographic shifts? And would shifting patterns say something about a neighborhood's future? These will be as questions within this video to get your answers in the comments. So the New York Times recently ran an article by Stefanos Chen summarizing the investigation of a New York City's changing dog preferences and the dog owner's neighborhood of residence, which the neighborhood of resident was looked as an indicator. So using dog license registrations from the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene from 2012 to 2016, the Times obtained information about each dog's breed, their sex, their name, and their home zip code. So kind of like a little census for the dogs in the neighborhood. So what did he find? The most familiar in high-priced Upper East Side white glove co-ops wanted the poodle breeds registration in 4 years. That nearly doubled in downtown's Hell's Kitchen and Chelsea neighborhoods. And he described as roughing it compared to the poodle's traditional white glove residence. So the real estate price data in the given area also shows a similar shift. Chen also finds that as housing prices rise, the dog breeds become smaller and more expensive. So in 2016, he reports that citywide, the top dog was the Yorkshire Terrier. Lap dog Yorkies weigh about 7 pounds when they're fully grown. So whether you're considering predictions about dog preferences or social economic changes in neighborhoods or the likelihood of a ballistic missile attacking any unpredictable national leader, your judgments about these decisions depend on what you currently know at the time you're making those decisions. So each judgment is based on your experience. With the more familiar, the regular the pattern in the past, the more confidence you'll have to continue with that pattern of thought in the future. So chapter 3 gives us some basic concepts that are needed in the chapter to understand our social sciences. And this includes definitions of variable, element, case, and relationship. So variable is a way of describing the people or the objects where you're assigning a category or a number to each person or object. And there should be at least 2 categories, and every person or object must fall into exactly one of them. An element is the people or the objects that we are trying to describe. A case is a collection of values for which every variable from one subject or respondent in a study, or more generally for every element. And relationships or association, they exist between 2 variables when you know the value of one variable reduces uncertainty about the value of the other variable. So I hope these definitions are useful and help you throughout our studying of research methods. So 2 variables are said to be related if knowing the value of one of them reduces uncertainty about the value of the other. So much science has to do with identifying our cause and effect relationships. So in a cause and effect relationship between 2 variables, the cause is the independent variable and the effect is the dependent variable. So a cause and effect relationship must persist when other variables are held constant or they are controlled. Also, the effect can't precede the cause in time in a cause and effect relationship. We have to have a time order. And the cause is followed by a change in the effect by at least a very short time interval. So we have control variables, dependent variables, independent variables. So does summertime lead to eating ice cream or not? Add your comments in the video below. In addition to a correlation between, let's say, observed weather and weather forecasts or gender dressed beard example as we have in our textbook, here's a little bit more of a complex example of the importance of controlling for other possible variables when we're looking at a cause and effect relationship. So the New York Times published a summary of several major studies, and the summary stated that married couples do not necessarily benefit from date nights, and that such encounters might even be detrimental. So the Times author Stephanie Kuntz notes that people who are stressful as singles are especially likely to end up in happy marriages, in large part because of their personal and social resources that they developed before marrying. So a suggestion is, for a better marriage, act like a single person. Good suggestion. But what is the chance that healthy people or a personal resource make more friends and subsequently are more likely to be happy in marriage? Again, put your comments below. So scientific investigation doesn't proceed by observing every detail in the world, but it does depend on hypothesis. So a hypothesis is your proposed cause and effect relationship, and that's what you're testing. And then we have quantitative research, which is a comparatively structured approach that emphasizes this cause and effect relationship among your variables, dependent and independent. So a hypothesis must be formulated so they can be falsified, shown that they are wrong by some type of empirical test that the proposed relationship is invalid. So one way that we do this is through scientific theory, which is just a collection of hypotheses, which are proposed cause and effect relationships about the particular topic that we're studying. Now, qualitative research is more unstructured in its approach to social science, and it involves where you're interpreting, or your naturalistic method of attempting to make sense or interpret a phenomenon in terms of meanings that people bring to them. So generally, we have qualitative investigations that we use when the subject matter might be more complex or complicated to put in any type of quantitative format. Qualitative research documents what happens and describes the structure of what is seen, such as your human emotional reactions, the meaning that people attach to events, or the meaning that they attach to circumstances. Qualitative research provides us insights into this cause and effect relationship that we might have otherwise overlooked. Then we have Persimmy, which refers to the preference for simplicity, right? So given you have two theories, you make the same prediction, the simpler theory is usually preferred. Then we have serendipity, which is just a fancy schmancy name for the role that luck plays in our research, where we kind of get lucky to find unexpected relationships. But most discoveries arise from a long, arduous investigation with a lot of trial and error. For example, in my dissertation, I had to compute my methodology 38 different times. That's a lot of trial and error. And even serendipitous findings are made by people that are immersed in the research and not by people that have very little or low knowledge about the subject. You usually are a subject matter expert and you come up with these findings based on all of the data that you read through your literature review or through the processing of your methodology and the testing of your hypothesis. So in summary here, we have the theme of the chapter is science learning, which is an extension of what all of us do continually, right? We're looking for predictability. What can you learn from the idea of scientific approach? First, you want to be flexible. You want to learn from your experiences, but you also want to be skeptical and avoid the fallacy of sticky theory, right? We said that sticky theory is a phrase that we invented to try to capture the widespread observation that people sometimes hold ideas so strongly they refuse to acknowledge evidence that contradicts them. In science, we call this skepticism, and that is a strong norm. Also, we want to be careful when we have a limited sample of cases, because that might not be typical of the population or what we're seeing all around us. And always be on the lookout for any type of possible alternative explanations of relationships that you do observe. Thanks for watching.